All right, everybody. Happy Monday. Man, oh, man, I hope the rest of your weekend was better than Saturday nights, huh? Let me adjust my microphone there. I don't know if that's any better. What are you doing? All right. Let's do this. 3, 2, 1, yo. How you doing? Very, I know a lot of people lost sleep Saturday night. They lost sleep. We carried on in Discord for a little while. A lot of people, still a lot of arguing and finger pointing. You're not a real fan and all that stuff, here and there. Not our Discord, but on Twitter and Facebook. It's kind of wild. But what do you expect after a loss, right? What do you expect? Make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe if you're new. So what I try to do on Mondays, I'm in on the Zoom calls with Coach Pittman, with the rest of the media. So I wait, I download that Zoom call, and then I've got to chop it up in my video editing software, and then I'm able to go live. Sometimes I kind of rewatch. So that's why the Monday shows are not at 11 a.m. like last year, and why it's kind of difficult to pin down. It's difficult to pin down a time when I can go live on Mondays. So, yeah, I will be on Mark Rogers' show at some point this week. We're going to work something out. I'm going to be eating a lot of crow there, too, because I told his audience Arkansas. Maybe not. I had said that I didn't think LSU was an elite program. I took a lot of heat for that, and I still don't think they are. I don't know that they've proven that they're – they got shellacked by Florida State. Week 1. Elite teams, that doesn't happen to elite teams. But there's still so much left to figure out with this year. This is the realization that I'm coming to. And I do blame the portal. And you guys, again, you know how I feel about the portal. I'm all for it. I think it is mostly a net positive that comes with a bunch of negatives. I think there's a lot of positives with a pretty good laundry list of negatives as well, like corruption and that sort of stuff. But like I've told you guys for years, that stuff has always been happening. It's just now it's out in the open, and I would argue probably happening more. People are fast and loose with NIL. The accusations towards Dion at Colorado. But the realization that I'm coming to is that we don't know a damn thing about any of these teams, really, realistically, until probably like week 5. It's so much more difficult to get the right, feel for a team. I don't know that BYU, if this is an end of the world kind of a loss or not. I watched BYU in their first 2 games. I was so not impressed with that football team on the offensive side of the ball. And then their offensive coordinator comes out late last week and he says, yeah, we've only opened up 30% of the playbook. Okay. How do you still can't hide their quarterback's negatives. That guy did not there's nothing about him. He's a very vanilla at best quarterback. It's not like he lit your world on fire either in Fayetteville, but he did play a role in your loss. He made a couple of good throws. He made a couple of good reads and was able to connect. So, that's the conclusion I'm coming to about because of the portal, and you can also argue the NIL to an extent as well. It's just changed the landscape of college football so much. We don't know anything about anybody. It is so easy to sit here and say, well, BYU is not good. I said at the beginning of the year, if you struggle with BYU, you're not a very good football team. I was dead wrong. I think BYU, and a lot of that was because of all the change. I was not impressed with their defense. I wasn't impressed with their transfer quarterback. There was a debate about what's going on at the running back position, which is why they ended up going with Martin, the true freshman, against Arkansas on Saturday, and he tore you up, man. He tore you up. He did a pretty good job. You got to give him credit. You got to give credit to their offensive line. They got a little bit of push. I think that could have been a lot worse on Saturday had Arkansas not had their depth at defensive line. I think it would have been a lot worse. I was dead wrong about BYU, and I will I'll admit it. As I have always done since I started doing these live shows, post game shows, whatever. Even when I only did edited content, I'd come back and say, "All right, I was wrong. I was dead wrong." I think BYU is better. How much better? I don't know, but they're not trash. They're far from trash. Yo, Ty, you the man. Happy Monday. What's going on, Montero? Welcome. This loss absolutely destroyed my hopes. Same feeling as the A&M loss. Yeah. BYU brought food for our pantry and their own officials. Well, yeah, they did some good things. I haven't talked to anybody who had any interactions with the BYU folks. Carson's, you might be new here. Hey, make sure you subscribe if you're new. BYU is going to be an 8-4, 9-3 team, and that's fine. That's a solid team. We're talking about Power 5 football now. This isn't Mountain West or Independent. They're in the Big 12. If they go 9-3 in the Big 12, that's not bad. Even though I think the Big 12 is not on the same level as the SEC. That narrative could be changing. Look at the conversation that's being had around college football right now. Is the SEC down? The SEC it feels wide open. I think as we get through the year, we're going to come to the realization that it's not as wide open as we thought. But like I think Georgia is the number one team in the country. I think obviously they're the best team in the SEC. Today, I feel that way. Who knows? But damn, that portal. It's made football better. It just sucks for someone like me who's got to sit here and you do all this homework in the off season. You buy all the preseason magazines, which I've done for 20 years, going all the way longer than that, going all the way back to the late 90s, doing all my homework, doing the math, looking at analytics, looking at numbers, watching what video I can find on certain teams. And it doesn't mean a damn thing because the portal has just changed all of that. It's like instant fix. For some teams, not everybody. Look at Colorado. I keep going back to them as an example. But you could really point out a number of teams who have benefited. So many, and Arkansas is among them, right? I mean, you had Drew Sanders last year. Imagine that defense without Drew Sanders a year ago. I mean, it would have been a lot worse. So, yeah. All right. I got Sam Pittman. I got the video. We're going to listen to what Sam has to say. This video is only about 2 minutes long. So we're going to pull this up here. I just kind of cut up a little bit of what Sam, it's not everything. It's just some of the things that kind of stood out. Something he said about Centennia that was interesting. We got an update on a not so update on Rocket, if that makes any sense. We also have heard that KJ Jefferson may have gone into this game a little dinged up. So he briefly mentions that. I believe that's in this video that I have. I'm waiting on the transcript. I asked someone about the transcript, and I don't think I've gotten it yet. So just in case we miss it, here we go. Yeah, I got the full transcript. Shout out to somebody. Shout out to this person for sending me the transcript. So I do have it. So we will be able to kind of go over what might not be on this video. Before we do, though, special shout out to the Patreon supporters. I appreciate you guys. Man, without you guys, like, none of this is possible. I could still do what I do. It's just a lot more challenging. So I really do appreciate you guys. If you want to become a Patreon member, the link is provided for you down below. Shout out to the sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the Garage Door Company. Appreciate the tweets. Coach McKnight, or Chris McKnight. And, yeah, thank you. I've got my phone here. But I appreciate you guys. Thank you so much for that. Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. Same-day services, quality parts, affordable outcomes. Give them a call today at 501-244-3667. I should have that number memorized, and I don't. Also, the Odd Soul Craft Bar and Pizzeria, located on Emma Street. Maybe you guys, I don't know if anyone actually went. I've been telling you guys all week, those of you who are in town for the game, go check them out. You ought to. Great staff, man. Great environment, great pies, wonderful stuff on tap. Local IPAs and whatnot. Yeah. All right, let's pull up. Let's see if we get this to work here. Make sure the sound's working. We're gonna pull this up. We're gonna listen to what Sam had to say. Again, this is only about 2 minutes long.
Yeah, it's hard to win any game when you have 14 penalties. Obviously, I don't know if I'm gonna get fined. I obviously didn't agree with all the calls and all that kind of stuff. Several of them, but hence the problem. You can't have. We had too many missed assignments and we had too many penalties to beat a good football team, and we got to figure out how to get the penalty situation. You're going to have some missed assignments in a game. I thought we had more than what we should have, but it's the penalties that are, killing drives and keeping drives alive and things of that nature that we just have to get corrected. In a nutshell, if we just took half the penalties away, I think we would have won the game. Is that for some reason we've had some hand issues. We've got 3 of them on the offensive line, and you need your grip there. So we're going to go Spiders today. I'm going to try to heal up some of that a little bit if we can. No, really no is the answer. I don't know if he's going to be able to play or not. And I tell you, it's probably, in all honesty, it's probably too early to really tell on that injury. We're going to have him out there a little bit today, kind of see where he's at. But to be honest with you, the answer is probably no at this point. Not know that he's not going to play. No, we just don't know.
I was wondering about KJ's health. There was a couple of runs where maybe the old KJ would have cut up and hit somebody. Is he okay?
Yes, he's fine. Yeah, he was a little banged up going into the game, but we wondered the same thing, but we knew the answer of why. But it's not because, a lot of times you tell them guys, run out of bounds or something like that. We have not told him that because I didn't think he would do it, if we did, but. Yeah, I'm sure that had a little bit to do with how he was feeling.
All right. So obviously that last part was about KJ. Someone asked in chat, is he banged up or is he fine? You know how this works, Mike. We're never going to know the full story. We'll find out, next spring or next fall camp. We'll find out that KJ had a ruptured spleen. I don't know. I'm kidding. Obviously, I don't think he has a ruptured spleen. But they're secretive for a reason, and I understand it. But why did he play? Well, listen, all these guys are hurt or banged up, right? That's nothing new to football. They're going to play guys. If they're good to go, they're just a little dinged up. You're a little dinged up. Anybody who's played contact sports, Kiwanis 3rd, 4th grade football, all the way up to high school, this. You're going to play a little banged up. It's part of the game. Maybe that's what it is. I do wish he was a little bit more transparent about what exactly was going on with KJ. I have to agree. It was Tom Murphy that asked that question, and I actually went back this morning and was kind of rewatching some of KJ's runs and watching some of his highlights. I'm not going to say he looked slow. He just looked different. And I think when we were first watching that live Saturday night, we just kind of chalked it up to the offense just being what it was. it's different than looking at him in the Kendall Browsvere and shoot. And again, this is also not me making an excuse for him either, because it's not as if he's setting the world on fire so far, even when he was healthy, right? But I think it's noticed. It's obviously the media's picked up on it. Sam has acknowledged it. I think it's fair to say that KJ's probably playing a little dinged up going into LSU. How severe it is, it's probably not that bad. Then again, we knew going into Liberty he was banged up. Everyone knew that he was banged up, and he played. He ended up still having a decent game, and then the next game, LSU, he did not. They didn't play him. We should run Madden plays like Bishop Sycamore. Cam, I'm going to say this, man. Thank God you're not the OC. Oh, man. Charles Harper says, Ty, I think KJ's having issues with reads. It's obvious due to him holding on the ball too long. I'm not saying bench him, but give some other quarterbacks a chance. I was also talking with Stephen Hamner from QB Spotlight. He comes through here every once in a while. I've obviously had him on. It's been tough getting him on because he and I have not had the same schedule the last 3 weeks. I'm trying to get him on, but he and I were talking this morning, and I'm sure he wouldn't mind me sharing a little bit of what we discussed. There are some things that he's spotted that are a little bit concerning. He asked me and another person in this group chat if y'all had to guess on how many passes KJ completed with pressure in his face versus BYU, what would it be? I guessed, maybe under 30%. Steven says he went 0 for 5 with an interception. Only 13 of his 36 attempts were past 10 yards in the air. I'm not going to go into everything here, but only of the amount of passing attempts that he had, only 6 were out of play action. And again, this is coming from Stephen Hamner. This is QB Spotlight. This is what he does. He's obviously kept a pretty good eye on KJ over the years. And he says that's also not including the blitz. Out of 24 completions, 8 were behind the line of scrimmage. That's okay if you're running running an RPO scheme and have a lot of screens, dump off to tight ends, etc. So it's pretty clear, not just to local media here, to you guys. Stephen Hammer's also seeing it. There is something, and it is, I'm going to say 100%, it's the offense. I'm not saying that it's Dan Enos' fault. I'm simply saying there could be when the lights come on, this offense, when you're playing an opposing defense, someone other than a red jersey, like what Arkansas has been doing through fall camp or going all the way back to spring, when it's someone in a different jersey during game time, it's very clear that KJ's struggling with this offense. I don't think there's any question about that. His completion percentage is still good. His completion percentage is not bad. I had it here. Where is it? Oh, tell me I didn't close that email out. Damn it. I think I did. He's got good numbers, like in terms of passing, completion percentage and whatnot. We saw there was a couple plays last week where guys are kind of running wide open, and there's some good underneath throws. Eagle was trying to post stuff in Discord earlier today in our in the main chat. Unfortunately, I was in the middle of doing like 2 things at once. Also, watching him and someone else on our Discord go back and forth and argue. That was really fun. I was eating popcorn. I should have been eating popcorn. It was an interesting debate. I didn't see all of what Eagle was talking about. But again, it's pretty clear that there is something amiss about this offense. And, maybe it's just a little bit more cerebral. It's a pretty dramatic change. It's also it's a slower tempo. It's not built to keep the defense off kilter. It's not. It's just I don't know. I'm hoping they can fix it. I'm hoping this is just a simple, maybe it's a slight communication error between KJ and his receivers or the offensive line. That's the other part of this, right? The offensive line has been atrocious. if they're not able to run block, if they can't open up the inside ISO, okay, for those of you not wearing headphones, ISO, not what it sounds like. They're struggling to run the outside, zone reads. They're struggling to do much of anything in the run game until this last week. Well, then if it's not that, it's the pass blocking. It was horrible, and it unfolded, and it really imploded in the bottom of the fourth quarter. You had an opportunity, and you get those penalties. No, nobody should be losing their team captain badge, but that was. I'm not saying that Sam is Chad Morris, but that was very Chad Morris-esque in the fourth quarter. That's what I would have expected to have seen in 2018. To implode like that on the offensive line is still shocking to me. The 4th and 1 shotguns, quarterback and shotgun. The 4th and 1, like that's some Kendall. That's the stuff we were complaining about with Kendall Briles last year, and the last 2 years. Just a lot of strange decisions. The Sam Pittman. The way he approaches fourth downs this year, I think he's in his own head. About how to deal with fourth downs. So going back to KJ, obviously Rocket. If I'm going to be honest with you, we might see him out there today. I think we will see him practice a little bit. I think they're going to try and see what Rocket looks like. I think if anything, right now, just judging on Sam's reaction to the question about Rocket, I don't think Rocket's going to play on Saturday, and that's a big bummer. I mean, it seems like the run blocking opened up against BYU. It's maybe that's the right step in the right direction for this offense is now the run blocking, but you got to deal with LSU's front seven now. BYU's salty, right? Their defense, their front seven salty, but it ain't LSU. It's not that caliber of talent. All the another reason why you need to have Rocket back. I don't think they have an identity yet on offense, says Trey. I said that Saturday night. What is this offense? What's their identity? What is this team? At least with Kendall, we knew, and I called it after his second year. I said, well, this is really power run in disguise. It's high tempo. It's the veer and shoot. It's obviously very, very heavily RPO implemented. But at the end of the day, it's power run football. It's either KJ on the keeper or he's handing it off to Rocket or AJ or Dubinion or whatever. You knew what they were trying to do. And he did that with fast tempo and trying to keep the defense off kilter and keeping the defense unbalanced. Dan Enos, it feels like, well, we're going to try and be pretty predictable, and we're going to try and run it up the gut. We're really a pro-style offense. We operate out of the pistol, and maybe KJ could figure it out in the pocket. These guys are not blocking long enough to give him time to go through his reads. But even when he does have time, it seems like he's picking the wrong targets. I don't know what the answer is. I would say, I don't know, go see if Kendall left any of his offense behind. Go look in his office and see if he left anything behind. They got their work cut out for him. It's not to say that it's all hopeless. I don't think that's the case at all. Like I said, it looks like they have figured something out in the run game. We'll see if they can continue that trend in going down to Baton Rouge. These games have never been decided by more than 3 points. If memory serves correctly, this is typically a game that comes down to fourth quarter antics. Is that going to be the case this year? Like I said, I'm not buying the LSU's a playoff contender, but by God, they could win the West because the West looks pretty wide open to me. I could sit here and shit talk LSU all day long, and they may end up going 11-1, 10-2. Maybe nobody's an elite team this year, But again, I think that's probably wrong. I mean, we're going to know a hell of a lot more here in the next couple of weeks about the landscape of college football. Listen, we all thought Tennessee was a legit playoff team last year until South Carolina later on in the year. So AJ is the guy, says Chris. I was really happy with AJ. I really was. I was really happy with AJ Green. I don't know why He's on fire, and you limit him to 9 carries. And Sam's response is something like, we kind of thought we'd give him more carries. You're the head coach. You can make that call. Instead of Dubinion. Let's try A.J. Green instead. I mean, the guy's got a hot hand. He's carried the ball 9 times for 86 yards. Yeah, he got a lot of that on 1 carry, sure. Yeah, not all of his runs were, great. But a guy has a 55-yard run in the first half, and he only has 9 carries throughout the entire game? What are you smoking? And see, this was my complaint last year. Why did Rocket so often disappear in the third quarter? You guys remember we had these conversations in the postgame shows. Where the hell is Rocket? Why is he not getting at least 5, 6, 7 more carries? What's going on? And some of that might, maybe some of this is out of the playbook of Kirby Smart. And maybe Sam has brought that with him. And the approach might be something like, well, we need to keep our backs healthy, right, throughout the rest of this game, and we still got a long season to go. This is a non-conference opponent. But, see, we saw this in conference play last year where Rocket would just disappear for a quarter. He wouldn't get a carry. He might get 1 or 2 or 3 after carrying the ball maybe 9 or 10 times in the first half. The rule of thumb, even going back to the days of I formation, Houston Nut football or even Bielema ball, the rule of thumb was always like, in the first half, you want to limit your back. You don't want him above about 16, 17 carries. God, that's a big fly. We had to open up the garage door yesterday, and, of course, all the trash can flies flew into the – come here, you son of a bitch. Come here. Get off. Yeah, that's right. Yeah, you little bastard. I'm prepared today. Where'd you go? Yeah. That's what I thought, bitch. Anyways, what was I saying? Rule of thumb: you don't want to ruin your running backs for the second half, right? You don't want to ruin them for the second half. You don't want to deplete their carries, and that was something now unless you had Darren McFadden, that was a different story because then you had Peyton Hillis and Felix Jones. I'm not really impressed with the other running backs this year. It's like A.J. Green had a great game. But everyone else, like Dubinion, we haven't seen enough of Dominic Johnson. We've not seen any of Augustive. I mean, why hasn't he gotten some carries? I think he looks pretty explosive in practice. I don't know. The offense, there's clearly something wrong. There's clearly something going on with this offense, and it could come back to Danino's play calling. It could come back to KJ's grasp of the offense, KJ's ability or inability to read a defense. I don't know. But it's got to be fixed, man. And it's like if you don't get it fixed for LSU, and then you've got it doesn't get any easier, right? Now Sam did say today this is probably about as tough opponent as we're going to face. And he's not wrong. I think LSU could be better than Bama this year, but I don't know exactly what that's saying. Put Criswell in coach. Yeah, I think that's a little bit right now. I think that might be a little. I don't know. I'm not going that far. I'm not it's going to have to be where the offense just looks completely stuck for the next couple of weeks before we get into the Criswell talk. Ty, SEC is down because there are no great Yeah, and that's something we pointed out at the beginning of the year. The quarterbacks have taken a step back in this league. There is no clear. Well, I mean, maybe there is a clear number one quarterback, but it doesn't feel as. I don't know. Right. It is certainly because quarterback play, and I would also argue the portal has helped to even the playing field to some degree with these other conferences, and maybe that's. Look at the Pac-12. I mean, they came into the season. They've got that is the best quarterback conference, top to bottom. You get off. Dom John has lost a step. He had 2 carries for 14 yards? No, it was more than that. What am I saying? It was more than that. No, what? Okay, it was 2 carries for 14 yards. He had that 13-yard run. And he's never been fast. People keep saying he's lost a step. Dude, he's never been fast. He's not a 4.4 guy. You know, he's a big, hulking, bruising running back. That's just what he is. You know, he gets his power. He's got power. He just doesn't have the speed, and he never really has. Dom John is who he is. I wish he would have gotten more carries. Anybody but DeBinion. I mean, DeBinion, outside the 15-yard run, DeBinion was not it. Like, I've just not been, if anyone, and listen, he's playing with back issues. He's got a back injury or something like that. Something's going on with his back. But he did have one 15-yard run, but outside of that, the dude averaged, I mean, even with that carry, he only averaged 3.6 yards a carry on 13 carries. He had 47 yards. KJ, 13 carries for 21 yards. 1.6 yards per carry. Andrew Armstrong, 9 catches, 98 yards, no touchdowns. But yeah, AJ Green has earned 15 plus. Oh, well, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, AJ should be in the realm. He should be in the realm of about 15 to 20 carries a game right now. If you got to reward the success, we'll see what happens. R-Dub is having problems being patient. Yeah, but the injury, I mean, it has slowed him down. I mean, there's no doubt. I don't think he doesn't look anywhere near as good as he did last year so far. Jeremy McCollum says, it seems it's the same old stuff. Too many penalties and looking unprepared, mediocre at best under Pittman. Well, okay, 2021 was not a mediocre team, though, right? Like, that was actually a really good football team. 22, you lost by single digits multiple times last year. But yeah, it was a mediocre team at best in 2022. The flags not being prepared, special teams being real iffy. I mean, what the hell was up with those two punts? One went for, 12 yards. The other one went for 25 or something. Like, that can't happen. Once, it's okay, whatever. You know, it's 74,000 people in the stands, maybe just one punt, one shank punt, whatever. You had two, man. I mean, that's unacceptable. But I will say, overall, because of Centennia and because Max appears to have a little bit stronger leg this year, and we're not seeing as many penalties. I don't know that special teams had a single penalty on Saturday. Maybe I feel like there might have been one, but it's not as horrendous and obvious on special teams. But yeah, no, the flags overall, though, the flags, offense, defense, special teams, they've had several coming into this game, or at least two or three coming into this game on special teams. The flags were horrible. I mean, listen, Arkansas ranks 114th in the country in flags. This is bad. I mean, obviously it's bad. 25 flags. Anybody want to take a guess on the yardage? I'll give you guys a second and make sure you tell me, like, flag yards. Anybody want to guess how many yards in 3 games? Bobby Swain says 165. Okay, Philip is unserious. Carson says 435 yards. Come on, be realistic. 435. 136 by John. You're somewhere in between there. Oh, Jeremy McCollum is damn close. 25 flags for 245 yards through 3 games. Again, that's 114th in the country. 114th in the country, 25 flags, 245 yards. I'm in 100. Okay, well, all right. Hog Barbecue says 345. There is somebody who has, who was that? Was it Boston College? Someone has like 320 yards of, I mean, that's crazy. Let's go over this really quick. Arkansas, let's look at the good. I know we're not supposed to do that, right? We're all supposed to be pessimistic. We're all supposed to be pissy. We're all supposed to be mad. No, the season's over with. Me. Relax. Just hang on. Let's look at the positives for just a second. Arkansas is scoring 38 points per game. Okay, even when Kendall was here against some shit opponents, they struggled to do that. That's 33rd in the country. Yes, 14 of those points have come, well, actually 21 of those points, 14 from defense and then the 7 from Centennia. But they haven't, scoring hasn't been a problem for the offense. Again, against similar kind of teams, we have seen Arkansas struggle against those kind of teams. Not so much in the Pittman era. I mean, yeah, you could probably say that's like the, Arkansas's 53rd in passing yards allowed. Now, I told you guys, I feel like this is where they're going to be most of the year, is in the 50s and the 60s. Right now, they're only giving up 201 yards a game through the air. I agree they haven't played any prolific offensive, any prolific pass attacks yet. Arkansas is 11 for 12 inside the red zone. Remember, that was one thing that we were hoping he would carry over with him from Maryland. I think they ranked like 20th in the country or something in red zone offense. Right now, you're 31st, 11 for 12 in the red zone. Third down defense is 18th in the country. Teams are only converting 30% of their third downs. And Arkansas is 8th in the country in turnover margin. Remember, they were tied for first. Now they're 8th. And we knew that number's probably going to drop. That's a really hard number when you start playing. You got BYU, who's a P5 now. We got to call them a P5. It's weird, I know, but they're a P5 team. And now you're going into SEC play. I think that number could drop, but it may not. I don't know. The defense has still shown they could strip the ball. They could pick the ball off in the air. They could create. And what I have noticed from this defense, they may not pile up sacks, but they're pretty good at throwing the timing off between the quarterback and his target. 10 times opposing offenses have ventured. I wrote that. I feel so esteemed. 10 times opposing offenses have ventured into the Razorback red zone and have only come away with 4 touchdowns, I should say. But overall, they've given up points 8 times. So teams are scoring 80% of the time they're in the red zone, which this early in the year, that's whatever. But they've only 4 times come away with actual touchdowns. But the flags are clearly, and I would argue too, like the total offense is not where I thought it would be. The rushing offense is obviously not where we all thought it would be. But the flags and the total offense, just the mental errors, they beat themselves. Someone posted a graph on Twitter today that like BYU had something to do, obviously, with Arkansas's loss, but Arkansas got in their own way. And that was the outcome. Sam said today, take away half those penalties, we win the game. I'll do you one better. I think just take away like four of those flags. Even the ones that were untimely, the ones that benefited BYU on certain downs or extended to a 3rd and long or whatever. Whatever. You can pick and choose. Take away four flags. Arkansas at least takes this game into overtime, and then we see what happens from there. You take away 5 or 6 penalties, yeah, Arkansas wins this game. Let's not forget Arkansas had a big lead, and they extended their lead. They were, they had the 14, they had nothing. BYU certainly looked like they were shook in Fayetteville for a minute with the touchdown run by A.J. Green, with the Centennia. What was that? How long was that return? I forgot what it was. But with his return, the defense seemed to be firing on all cylinders. The offense looked like they were okay. And then they were able to respond. And then Arkansas came back, and then they got a lead. And it was back and forth, but they just couldn't hold on to the momentum, and they couldn't get out of their own way. So it's not all bad. It's not all shit. It's shit when you lose. I get it. And there's things that they can correct. I am shocked about what's going on the offensive line. I'm legitimately shocked. And I don't shock easy. This is it's troubling. I do still think they can fix it. But I think it's going to require Sam getting more involved with the offensive line. I'm not saying fire Kennedy. I don't know. Listen, if this doesn't get fixed in the next 2-3 weeks, he may get fired. But they did establish the run against BYU. Now you've got to build off of that, right? Now you got to be able to open up the pass game better. You need to move the pocket more. KJ needs to be out of the pocket more. More bootleg, screens, smoke, and tunnel screens. Get the receivers involved as much as you can. I don't mind an end around every once in a while. God, that sounded bad. I don't mind a wide receiver end around or whatever. If you want to flip the ball out to the running back out in the flats, try to spread the defense out. There's nothing wrong with a little bit of this and that, a little shake and bake. I wasn't as pissed off about the trick plays by Kendall Browse. It's just like his timing. People would get mad about when he used his special plays. I don't always have a problem with that. Obviously if it works, but the problem with Kendall was it was always the timing. Like, what was it last year? They were running the ball really well, or maybe they were throwing the ball really well, and then they did some bullshit double pass, whatever, and then obviously it went for negative yardage. There was the Treylon Burks behind the 15-yard line double pass that ended up costing Arkansas like 10 or 12 yards, stuff like that. But I don't mind the little shuttle passes and whatnot. Do whatever it takes to figure it out and get the ball moving, or maybe just keep feeding the guy that's hot. Maybe it's just that simple. The stretch runs, maybe they'll open up a little bit more. LSU, that's a tough task. Their front seven is very active. We're obviously going to talk about them on Friday, and then we're going to get Sam Pittman's response on Wednesday. We'll go over what Sam had to say, similar like what we did last week. What's going on, Roy? How you doing, man? Welcome, sir. Ty, the good is that every team in the West has issues. Our offense looks better than most, so we got a chance to win the SEC West, says Charles Harper. I'm not going to call anything crazy. You're not wrong. I'm talking more team based, right, Charles? But I hear you. I do think the appearance certainly is that the SEC's down. The appearance is that it's wide open, even with Georgia. It's not like Georgia's setting the world on fire right now on the offensive side of the ball. I have a feeling we know how this is going to go. Like it's going to come down between Alabama or LSU, maybe Ole Miss. And I had that game as a loss at the beginning of the year, and that's starting to look more and more like nothing's guaranteed, but it's starting to look more and more like a loss. Bobby Swain says 5-7, so he's sticking with 5-7. How are we feeling about the 2023 season record now? Okay. This was going to be like, I'll just go ahead and say it. I am off, and I think this is this is everybody. I'm not the only one. This isn't obvious. This isn't the most surprising thing. I'm definitely off my 9-win. I'm down. I don't know how far. I have no idea. Don't ask me a new win total. I'm not going to do this thing where every week I probably will. I say I won't. There's definitely some concerns here. This is what would take for me to get back up on the 9, right? Obviously beating LSU, but just in specifics, if we're talking about team specifics, the offensive line has got to become more consistent. Dan Enos in this offense, and I'm not saying they need to set the world on fire. I'm not asking for a top 10 offense, but they have got to pull their head out of their asses. This offense just it's rough, man. It's bad. I want to see those penalties. You're at, would we say 25? Was that right? 25 penalties for whatever, 240 yards. Obviously, the penalties have got to come down dramatically, like 5 penalties a game. I think that's reasonable. 5, maybe 6 penalties a game. They got to be small yardage penalties. Limit your procedural penalties. Defense is I'm not completely sold that it's like that they're a listen, I gotta choose my words carefully. I like this defense. I really do. And I think they're off to a really strong start. They're up for one of their toughest challenges this weekend. This weekend might tell us a lot, just like it will with our offense. It will with the defense as well. I think it's going to tell us a lot. They're going to get pushed and challenged in ways that they haven't. There were a couple of drives. There were several drives by BYU where I thought, what the hell is the defense doing? Sometimes they got burned because they were trying to blitz. Sometimes they looked like they might be slightly out of place with someone wide open, check down throws wide open. Sometimes I think that was a result of trying to be a little aggressive inside the box. I don't know. I don't know that I would change much on the defense, though. I'm sure in the next several weeks we'll be able to come back and say, okay, here's, now that we've seen a couple of tough offenses, here's where we know we need to get fixed, or what we know exactly needs to be fixed. But the offense has got its work cut out for it. Decision making's got to get better out of KJ. Play calling's got to improve under Dan, and they all need to be on the same page. Wide receivers are not getting open. They're not getting open. The same set of receivers that we saw. I mean, you see how good the secondary is. They're playing really good. I'm really impressed with the secondary. Even if they're in the 50s, I'm still impressed with what I've seen. We saw these same set of receivers against those same corners torch those guys. Not all the time, not super consistently, but we saw them torch these guys. Get open, get 2-3 steps ahead of them. Snacks, there was a couple of times through the beginning of fall camp where he was just getting lit up. He couldn't keep up with Andrew Armstrong. He could not keep up with Andrew Armstrong. Maybe that was spring camp. Maybe I'm getting them mixed up. But regardless, it looked like the wide receivers were on a different planet. And like I said, towards the end of fall camp, the secondary has gotten better. And it seems like the exchange between the two, or the trade-off rather, is that the secondary is playing. They're off to a strong start. The receivers are not looking anywhere like what we saw through camp. We've seen Tesla make some incredible grabs. I got him. I just killed this fly. I got him. Oh, gross. Y'all want to see it? I got him. I got his ass. Yeah, I'm too quick for you. But we didn't see the. We're not seeing the same set of. I got that dude. Can you see him? Yeah. Tyler 1 flies nothing. Take that. See him? Uh-huh. Yeah, he's dead. That son of a bitch is dead. Got him. I'm going to get your brother here in a minute. Yeah, I'm a little bit surprised at the receivers based on what we saw through fall camp. Hopefully it gets better. Listen, there's room for improvement everywhere, and they got their work cut out for them. The offensive line, they got to get that situation figured out. Again, it is shocking. It is surprising to see that Arkansas, year 4, they're having these kind of issues up front on the line of scrimmage. I didn't see it coming. Really didn't. Something he said about Centennial, which was a little bit surprising. I have the quote somewhere. I don't know where I put it. Here it is. Pittman on Centennial says he's not catching the ball consistently in practice, but he's getting better, and they'll try some things and get him on the field. That's weird because maybe I missed some. Maybe I'm missing something. Listen, we only get 30 minutes. We get like 3 to 4 periods. If we're lucky, we might get a 5th period. I can't remember the last time we got 6. Maybe fall camp. Maybe it's stuff that we're not seeing, and that is entirely possible. But he was one of the most consistent receivers through spring and fall camp. I never saw him drop a pass. Now, also to be fair to Sam and anybody else who was there who might disagree, I wasn't always on the receivers, but I was with them a lot. I watched them a lot. They were right there next to us, and then maybe fastball, he dropped a pass that I missed, but he was one of the more consistent receivers. So obviously this is something that's going on when we're not there, but that is surprising to hear. He needs to be on the field more. He needs to be active. And I'm not saying, look, he might get out there in real time and drop passes. I'm just surprised to hear that because, again, Centennial was one of the between him and Andrew Armstrong and Tesla, he was one of the more consistent receivers through practice, without a doubt. Ty, do you have any eligibility left? To what? To eat potato chips and cheer them on the sidelines? Yes, I would have 4 years of eligibility, though. Clean up the penalties. I do think it's a little bit more complicated than that because, again, you go back to the offensive line. Tusky says defense is fine. BYU had the ball in Hogs territory so many times because of the inconsistent punting in KJ's pick. Yeah, there was certainly that. That pick by KJ still. How do you not see that guy roaming around? He just, man. Nobody's impressed by me killing that fly. I thought you guys would dig that. I got this. I got him. And you guys just were not impressed by it. I was impressed by that. KJ looks lost. SEC West is wide open, says Thomas Hawkins, for us to take. I mean, it seems to be wide open, but you got to get past LSU. Hell, you couldn't get past BYU. Oh, the fly is why I asked about your eligibility. Oh, okay. I could swat flies on the sidelines. Hey, give me a scholarship for that. I'll do it. Swat the flies. I've got this. I don't know if they would. I don't know. You guys got one of these? Have you seen these? They sell them at Sam's Club. You just click it, and then you just boom. I love this thing. YouTube's going to kick this video off because I have a plastic gun on stream. Assault gun, by the way. Couldn't beat BYU at home. Yeah, it is unfortunate the SEC is in the situation that it's in, and Arkansas looks like they've just got their work cut out for them. It's really unfortunate. But, yeah, I'm going to get PETA on me too, aren't I, because I killed this fly. Ooh, well, I'm 0 for 2. Roy Davenport, he's a Tuss Talk member here on YouTube. How awesome is that? We went backwards hiring Dan Enos again. I don't see it getting better. Same play calling. It right now, it doesn't seem like the perfect marriage between KJ and Dan Enos. And let's hope they can get it fixed. Let's hope they can figure something out. And again, if that means you're just going to have to find ways to be successful running the football, which is what they want to do anyways. If that's all this, if this is going to be a boring offense, but by God, they're eating up clock. You know, they're running the ball 40 times a game, but they're getting results, at least eating up the clock, getting points one way or another. I'm fine with that. At this point, I would kill for. Well, I got to choose again. Once again, choose my words wisely. I would be thrilled, even if it's the most boring offense at this point. Hell, I don't care. Line up in single back or strong eye formation football. I don't care at this point. Figure it out. Run the ball. Do something. Because I certainly don't know that the passing game is going to get much better. I don't know. It does not seem like the perfect marriage between KJ and Dan Enos. So, again, we'll have to wait and see. Yeah, and Thomas, look it up if you don't believe me. I love that line, by the way, when people say that. Look it up if you don't believe me, and we believe you, buddy. Reminds me of when we lost to Kent State. We came back and had a pretty good year. Look it up if you don't believe me. Great job getting that fly tight. Thank you, Tim. Thank you. Hope the Hogs show that much determination. First down run on repeat, predictable AF. Listen, obviously I'm trying to be funny, but what I'm saying is, even if it's predictable, if you're still getting results, if you're eating up the clock, you're giving your defense rest, and you're finding a way to get points on the board, and you're taking away possessions from the other team. Because again, I don't know how much better the passing game is going to be this year. They're going to need to throw the ball. You always have to have the ability to throw the ball. And I think it will be there. I think we're going to have moments where we see, this is what they're trying to do in the passing game. Sure, but can they do that consistently? Because right now, what we've seen through 3 games, I don't care about KJ's completion percentage. He's thrown a lot of high percentage throws. We're not stretching the field. We're not going deep very often. We're not going yard. The big plays are not there for the passing game. We have seen some light at the end of the tunnel with the run game against the salty BYU front 7. Now LSU is going to be even saltier. They're going to have way more talent, way more skill. But maybe, again, and that's why I say if that's what you got to be, then that's what you need to be. Because we've seen signs of life from the run game this week. But against a Big 12 opponent, right? Obviously, it's going to be rough. I don't know. There's your poll question. Are they going to run for this many yards again this year? 177. I don't know. They certainly, if they could get Rocket back, maybe that's an entirely different conversation, right? All right. We're up against it here. We're coming up on the hour, and I got to go pick my kids up here in a minute. No, that's what we're doing now. Well, they threw the ball 35 times. Stephen Brimley. I mean, I don't know. I mean, it was very clear they wanted to throw the ball on Saturday, and they struggled. Ty, I don't think we will face another quarterback like BYU. I think we will. I think you're going to this weekend, Charles. This guy coming up is going to be it's going to be pretty tough. Yeah, Daniels is pretty good right now. He's 70 of 95, almost 1,000 yards, 8 touchdowns, one pick. That's just through the air. He also leads them in rushing, 35 carries, 157 yards on the ground. Yeah, Daniels he's off to a pretty strong start. Practice felt different. It did. That's what they said, isn't it? And he's slippery. Yeah, watched him play a little bit this year. That's gonna be a very interesting challenge for this defense for sure. Ty was such a seasoned offensive line. How can we not blame coaching for blocking woes? Well, who's not blaming coaching? And by the way, they've got 2 brand new tackles, one of which is a sophomore. The other one that's been rotating out there is a redshirt freshman. And then you've got again, Braun's a transfer who's a junior, and you got Bo Limmer and Brady Latham. I don't know if season's the right word necessarily. Like when I think of seasoned, I think of guys with X amount of starts under their belts, or X amount of plays under their belts. I mean, with the same group, by the way, is when I hear seasoned. They shouldn't be. I agree. They shouldn't be as bad as they are. And yeah, no, coaching absolutely deserves. Like Kennedy deserves all the criticism you want to give him. Sam Pittman deserves all the criticism you want to give him. I say all within reason, right? The reasonable, like, why the hell is your offensive line in the shape that it's in? Everyone knows KJ will run on first down 90% of the time. That's lackluster. Came out on fire and then wheels fell off. Yeah. Again, had you well, this is a squeaky chair too, isn't it? Had you told me that, listen, you're going to go up 14-0 or watch that first quarter, the way it unfolded for Arkansas in terms of with that score, and then you say, oh yeah, by the way, they're going to lose this game, I probably would have been a little bit surprised. I wouldn't have been shocked, but I would have been a little bit surprised. Pretty embarrassing that our team captain is getting all those penalties. Gotta get that cleaned up. Yeah, I agree, Cameron. You're not wrong. You're not wrong. Listen, there's a lot of work cut out. Obviously you can't be a run-only football team. But what I'm saying is, and I think a couple of you may not understand what I'm saying. What I'm saying is they've seen against the salty front six, front seven of BYU that they could establish the run. So I'm saying let's start with that. No, don't run the ball every single down, but you can be creative with it. Especially out of the pistol. You could be creative, and that's obviously Dan Enos' bread and butter, is running things out of the pistol. But you have to figure out – you have to work with what you have. And it seems like what they may have, the step in the right direction, it looks like they were able to run the ball a little bit with not much of a threat of a passing game. Like BYU knew, okay, they're trying to run the ball, and Arkansas had some success, at least with the guy with the 9 carries. So that means you got to get A.J. Green more involved. When Rocket comes back, hopefully he does and he's healthy. I really thought they're going to get him back for LSU. I'm not so sure right now. We'll find out by the end of the week, or probably 6 o'clock p.m. Central Time on Saturday night, I guess we'll know. But that is your step in the right direction so far. Your signs of life has been in the run game. I'm not saying you run the ball 60 times a game. I'm not implying that, but I certainly believe that you need to lead with your good foot. And it seems like maybe they figured it out. Maybe they figured out the run game a little bit. But I don't know. What's the answer for LSU? We'll find out. We'll talk about it on Friday. Hit the like button. I appreciate you, Trey. You're the man. CB Stotts, yo, what's up, buddy? Hey, make sure you guys like, share, and subscribe. Yeah, I wish the passing game was better off, but it right now they look. I don't know. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to say about the offense. It just is what it is. Coach always says he didn't have them ready. You're not wrong. I'm wondering if they'll ever be ready. Yeah, you're not wrong, man. Nice job with the fly. Not sure you saw my comment about Bama, but it could always be worse for Arkansas offensive-wise. Yeah, there's some teams really struggling on offense. And by the way, I said don't judge Florida based on what happened against Utah. What'd they do? They beat the Vols in the swamp. I said 6-6 for the Vols, or for Florida. They might go. They're listen. As long as they're at home, they feel all right. As long as Florida's at home. Right now, they're 25th in the country. By the way, with their only loss on the road to Utah, 24-11. I watched a little bit of that Tennessee game. I'm still not sold on their offense at all. I think they're another team that's going to have some offensive issues. They're going to start the year off 3-1 most likely. They got Charlotte coming up. That's Tykees Crawford's old jam. That's where Crawford transferred here from. They got Kentucky on the road. Right now, the SEC, as it sums up, Georgia 3-0. Obviously, they're in the lead in the East. Florida is 1-0 in conference play, 2-1 overall. They're second in the East. Kentucky is 3-0. Missouri is 3-0. Vanderbilt's 2-2. Tennessee's 2-1. South Carolina's both South Carolina and Tennessee are 0-1 in conference play. South Carolina's 1-2 overall. I will say this: I think South Carolina. I think they're still going to make a bowl game. LSU right now 1-0 in conference play. They're the only team in the West that's 1-0. Mississippi State's 0-1, and yeah, that's it. Because LSU went on the road and rocked that world. Yeah, Ole Miss 3-0, Auburn 3-0. This is not how I'd imagine, right? Alabama 2-1 with offensive problems. It's going to be an interesting year, and I'm here for it. I'll just be honest. I'm absolutely here for it. In a beer talk, what's up, man? Maybe they only have 30% of the offense. Right? It still cracks me up that people are saying this team was going to win 10 games. I had them at 9. I wish, I saw what I saw was a very similar situation. What he walked into in 2015 with Dan Enos, a veteran quarterback, a proven, think about Brandon Allen in 2015. Like, nobody thought he was worth a shit. And what did he do? He set records with Enos. I'm not saying that he was going to light the world on fire like that. 6,000 total yards of offense and so on and so forth. But I certainly thought that they'd be a hell of a lot better than what we've seen so far. And I thought at the beginning of the year, I was really impressed with the wideouts. That's fine. Yeah. Is what it is. It'll be interesting if our backup quarterback comes in and wins games. Well, and you know what's going to happen. Jacoby Criswell right now, he's thrown for 100%. That's his numbers, right? But he's only thrown the ball twice. Yeah, if there's a scenario where he comes in and he balls out, and all of a sudden, do we have a quarterback controversy? It's one thing at a time. I'll just say that. It's one thing at a time. But Criswell is 2 for 2 for 28 yards and a touchdown. He's got a 382 rating, by the way, according to ESPN. 382.6. I wish we could have seen more of Criswell, and I'm going to be real with you. I thought we would have by now. And KJ's throwing 71%. Like I said, it's his completion percentage is nice. He's got some decent numbers. 6 touchdowns, just 1 interception, but he's got 2. He's got an interception. He's got a fumble given away. He's not been effective on the ground. 31 carries for 80 yards. Now that's, again, it's just not what we're used to seeing out of him. I would have assumed 31 carries like 150 yards, 160 yards by now, with at least 2 rushing touchdowns. But we're still trying to figure shit out, right? Okay, that's going to do it. I appreciate you guys. Make sure you like, share, and subscribe if you're new here. We'll be back on I'm going to try and come back on Wednesday live, maybe. Again, I always caution, I may not be live. It might be edited content. It might be no content at all. It's probably going to be I'm probably going to do something on Wednesday, but we will be here on Friday 100% for sure to break down Arkansas and LSU. As pessimistic as everyone wants to be, we still got to approach it like any other game. Yeah, you wish it was in Fayetteville, and of course we all wish Arkansas had actually taken care of business against BYU, but here we are. So, and you never know. Arkansas, all these games have been decided by, 3 points or less since Pittman's been here versus LSU. So I guess you just never know what's really in store for that game. So, yeah. So we will be back again for sure on Friday and more than likely on Wednesday. So I'll see you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day. I'll catch you on the flippity flop. How about that? Little office quote for you. Catch you on the flippity flop. The flippity flip.